हम शादियां कराते हैं, लोगों की शादियां, लड़कियों की शादियां कराते हैं और गाने बजाने की पार्टियों में जाते हैं। अगर हम स्कूल जाया करते थे, स्कूल में लड़के भी थे लड़कियां भी थी। मेरा उतना बेटा ज़्यादा लड़कियों के साथ था क्योंकि मैं पूरा फेस लड़कियों की तरह बना रहा था। तो मेरे घर वालों को वो अच्छा नहीं लगता, वो मुझे डांट रहे थे, ये रास्ता मत लो, ये रास्ता मत लो। तो मैंने घर को ही छोड़ दिया।
समाज कहता है लड़की है तो बस ये लड़की रहना है, पर उसकी ख्वाहिशें, उसकी चाहत उसे कोई नहीं समझता है। तो वो उस चीज़ से छोड़ के जाती है, तो वो बनना चाहती है जो वो चाहती है, तो उसे हम ट्रांसमैन बोलते हैं।
So he said, we are normal, you are not normal. So I remember I said to him, what is normal about you? He said, I am in the role of my gender. This is what we born with. It's not something we choose. There's nothing called normal because you being a cis man, you have hands, we have hands. The work you can do it, we can do it. So I always say to people, there's nothing such a thing called normal.
The key thing is what that person feels, who that person is.
ನಾನು ರಿಯಲ್ ಗರ್ಲ್ ಮೇಡಮ್.
ಹಾ ಲೇಡೀಸ್ ಅಂತೆ, ಲೇಡೀಸು ಮುಖ ನೋಡು ರಾಸ್ಕಲ್.
ನಾನು ನಿಜವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಹುಡುಗಿ.
ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನನಗೇನು ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ಯಾ?
When I was a boy, so the restriction my family would keep on me. I go outside to buy clothes, and being a trans woman, I would really love pink colors. I would love short skirts, pink, and my parents would say, that's not for girls, and you're a boy. But when I reached my teenager and I started feeling different, then I fought for my acceptance from my family.
चाहे आप पाकिस्तान के ले लो, चाहे इंडिया में कहीं किसी जगह ले लो, सबसे बिल्कुल अलग है कश्मीर के ट्रांसजेंडर। सीधे साधे मतलब सिंपल रहना, एक मतलब जेंट्स की तरह ही कपड़े वपड़े पहनना, ऐसा ही है। पाकिस्तान में एक किन्नर है, इतने खूबसूरत है, उसने कम से कम 10, 12, 14 सर्जरीज करवाई हैं अपनी। वो एक मैं बताऊं, जैसा मतलब अपना दिल कहता है इंसान का, वो वैसा ही करता है। वो उसका अपना शौक है, वो उसकी अपनी चाहत है अंदर से कि मैं इतनी खूबसूरत मुझे माना जाए।
Who you are or who am I to judge that someone's lifestyle or someone's identity is right or wrong? Yeah. That is where the unlearning starts according to me. See, you are a person and I am a person. I have all the rights. I deserve to live in this earth as much as you do.
ताना भी देते हैं अपनी माँ किसी टाइम पे, बाप भी, बहन भी, भाई भी, वो तो इंसान बर्दाश्त नहीं कर सकते।
I had to forcefully leave my family and I never went back. I don't know when I will or not.
त्या ठिकाणी हे ॲक्सेप्ट होत नाही लवकर आणि त्यामुळे त्याचे पालक त्याला वारंवार येऊन सांगायचे, सर तुम्हाला सांगतो ह्याच्यामध्ये हे काही असं होईल आणि तुम्ही त्याला पाठीशी घालू नका, त्याला तुम्ही तिथं दाबा ना, तुम्ही ते बांगड्या घालून येतो तुमच्या समोर येतो, तुम्हाला कळत नाही का ह्या गोष्टी? म्हणजे मला कळते पण तुम्हाला पण कळलं पाहिजे, तुम्ही माता आई वडील आहात, तुम्ही सुद्धा त्याचं ते बघा ते कशा प्रकारे हँडल करायचं.
If you can't take transgenders as we call it, or as we know them as humans or whoever, if we can't figure out how to integrate them into our society, it's a problem. And the day we can go that much, I think India would have transformed for everyone.
We are fighting for the recognition, and for us recognition is very important. Policies will come, policies will go, but what is most important is recognition, its right to identity.
तकदीर सवार गो शर्म गो दिल संदरी तमिस लज कथन मंज मे त्रोव कफन नल तमिस लज कथन मंज मे त्रोव कफन नल सारी जनाजस
The woman is on the ground, and you can see the man repeatedly slapping her and punching the victim.
Or when people don't act when they see something happening on the streets, it's often because they're afraid of the potential repercussions.
There's at least 10 individuals that are standing around watching this, approximately 5 males that are watching this, and no one is intervening in a female being beat this way.
It's really sad. It was really touching. I was feeling so bad because it's really happened. And now they have to live with this. And those culprits who did this must be also suffering now because of the action. But it's too late now. Do you want to be living in regret?
And there's certain kind of social psychological explanations for why people don't intervene. For example, this concept of the diffusion of responsibility, like I'm waiting for somebody else to act, therefore I'm not going to act.
I think the question is, in front of you is a human being in distress. If that human response is not there, that I need to intervene, then we are lagging behind, there was an incident in Mumbai which had actually shamed all of us. It happened between Malad and Kandivali some 10-15 years ago, and the title came in the Indian Express that 5 men allowed a rape to happen. In a compartment there were 4 people sitting, and one of them was a journalist from the Times of India.
The woman in many of these gang rape situations is completely dehumanized and depersonalized and objectified. They're not thinking about her as a person. They're thinking about the dynamic of what's going on between the guys. They're sharing an experience together, the guys are. And a lot of guys don't have the self-confidence in that moment of truth to say, this is wrong, you cannot do this. She's vulnerable, she's drunk, she's passed out. What are you doing?
रेप हो जाता है और वो बोल नहीं पाता, उसकी कंडीशनिंग है माइंड की वजह से. अगर उसके सामने ही कोई किसी का फ़ोन छीन रहा होता तो उठ के थप्पड़ लगा सकता था. जबकि फ़ोन छीनना या उसका वॉलेट चुराना एक बड़ी घटना नहीं है. किसी का रेप करना इज़ अ बिगर क्राइम. बट हमारी सोसाइटी में ऐसा बनाया जाता है बचपन से कि आप सेलेक्टिव है कि किस चीज़ में आप बात कर सकते हैं, किस पे बात नहीं कर सकते.
And the reason why, generally speaking, why people don't act in their own peer culture is not because of their physical fear, it's because of their social fear.
If you are a bystander and we don't comment on it, then it is like consenting, right? कि मुझे नहीं गलत लग रहा है, उन लोग का जो चल रहा है वो चलने दे ना, मेरा क्या जाता है. And usually the culture is नाक के सामने देख के चलने का, इधर उधर नहीं देखने का. That is what we have been told.
What we represent is a reminder, a living, breathing reminder that we are human beings, not hashtags.
It's building on literally a half century of incredible activism and work by women. This is work that's been done by women across class, race, ethnicity, building the battered women's movement, building the sexual assault movements and the movements against sexual harassment. The Me Too movement is an incredible outpouring of women's voices, both in the United States and all over the world. But it's really important to note that there are different approaches to how you work with the bystander. And it's crucial to think about these differences because they matter.
तुला ही धुर्वे गावातली न्यूज कळली?
अरे 2 खून काय झाले, त्यांची लगेच बोंबाबोंब सुरू झाली.
काही लोकांचं असं म्हणणं आहे की हे खून जातीच्या वादातून केले गेले. पण खरोखर अट्रॉसिटी झाली आहे का?
अरे तुमच्या गावामध्ये बाईला आणि पोरीला मारलं होतं.
If we speak in the context of the caste Indian society that teach sexuality, the rape is also used as a social weapon by the upper caste Indian society on the marginalized communities to silence them. So there are very varied reasons for rape in this society.
भौरी देवी का एक बहुत 90s का एक उदाहरण मैं आपको देता हूँ कि क्यों सिस्टम कैसी है. भौरी देवी का एक इंसिडेंट ऐसे हुआ था कि भौरी देवी एकदम ऐसी थी कि दलित कास्ट की थी, उस पर रेप किया गया और रेप करके फिर उसको नदी में डाला गया. फिर भी भौरी देवी लड़ी. वो बहुत बड़ा एक जो कहते हैं ना महिलाओं का एक बहुत बड़ा प्रदर्शन हुआ. कोर्ट में केस आई. हाई कोर्ट ने उस केस में क्या कहा वो अपने सब के लिए एक अहम है. हाई कोर्ट ने ऐसा कहा है कि भौरी देवी तो एक निचली कास्ट की महिला है और जो आरोपी है उसमें वो सब अपर कास्ट के लोग हैं, वो उसको कैसे छुएंगे. अब इट इज मेंशन. तो अभी हमको ये सोचना है कि कौन सी सोसाइटी में हमको रहना है.
সকাল থেকে বার করো।
তোর মুখে চলে মারি খান কিস্তারা
বিয়ের পর থেকে তোমার দম দেখে নিয়েছি, হ্যাঁ? অনেক দেখে নিয়েছি।
কি কথা না তোর, তোর মুখ আমি ভেঙে দেবো বলে রাখছে। বাপু তো বসাতে পারবে না, বলে রাখছে তোকে আমি।
I come from Maharashtra, and there are idioms, muhavre जिसे बोलते हैं, वाक प्रचार, that पति ने मारा और जोर से बारिश आई, फर्क क्या है? It's the same, just as thundering rain comes, so similarly husband's right to beat, and this is said by local policemen. When a woman comes for complaint, आपको पति ने ही तो पीटा और किसी ने तो नहीं.
ये सिंदूर मंगलसूत्र पहनने का बंद कर दिया तूने?
That control of men over women's lives, that control is coming from a word called patriarchy. This superiority, this sense of privilege, this sense of knowing that I am better. The important thing is power is being transferred from one man to another man, from that other man also to another man.
So we had a case where this colleague, where he said, oh, you live in such and such place, I also live nearby, I can drop you. So 2-3 times he dropped her home, everything fine. Then they became friends, so they started stopping to Bhel Puri or something on the way. That was also fine. And then one day he just suddenly gropes her. And then she called him and asked him, I believe you go to him. He was so angry. He said, 12 times I dropped her home. I have to take an extra U-turn to drop her home. मेरा 700 रुपए per month का petrol ज़्यादा खर्च होता है because of her. And that very bitch, she complained. The expectations that we have for some small favor that we do for her. I'm such a nice man. I'm such a good man. So there's something called a nice man syndrome also.
Your life is your own. Your body is your own. No one owns your body other than you. So you decide when you need to be touched, where you need to be touched. And one thing that really struck me is that when the perpetrator was saying that, I guess I don't know how to figure out when it's a no. Anything lesser than a yes is a no.
तू कितने बार पूछेगा? Can I kiss you? Can I do that? Can I do this? Won't that kill the whole mood?
Yeah, but dude, I mean, what if they change their mind? तू किसी के साथ है and if they are feeling uncomfortable, won't that kill the mood?
I don't know, dude. Like, मेरे हिसाब से तो एक बार पूछना काफी है.
You might be engaged with that other person, but that doesn't mean that you are his or her property. So whenever he wants, he desires, anything could be done to you. Even if you are on bed, even then you have to seek consent. Maybe, can I kiss you? And that has a beauty of its own.
It's just that sometimes when I've told you I'm not feeling well or my stomach's hurting, it's not true. I've just not been in the mood.
तुमने मुझे बताया क्यों नहीं?
It's not easy to just say no.
So while it is important to empower women and other gender minorities, it is equally important to engage men in the conversation. So बहुत बार मैं बोलता हूँ employees के साथ भी कि you might be aware, you might be empowered person, but would you talk about these things, contemporary gender happenings with your male colleague, with the men in your life, whether it's your brother, father, or your spouse?
When we were in school, often times ऐसा होता था, 1-2 पीरियड हम लोग को फ्री मिल जाता था, लड़कियां कहीं चली जाती थी और वापस आती थी, हम लोगों को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता था. These were basically awareness programs, but we didn't know. And since we were kept away from it and we never knew or never tried to know, that is a basic problem, because when we are not even involved in the basic process of what they are teaching, we don't even know how would they in future learn about it.
In India, what happens in the subject biology, where reproduction is being taught, the teacher says, read the chapter by yourself. And this is not one experience. Every growing up boy or a girl learns this. the teacher doesn't want to talk because she is feeling embarrassed. That if I start talking about reproduction, there will be lots of questions.
So a lot of people say, how can you start sex education in primary school? Obviously, people who design curriculum are not that stupid. And none of this obviously means covering developmentally inappropriate stuff. So obviously in primary school, we will not be talking about things that they're not ready for. So at that stage, you begin with consent, asking for permission. You begin with consent, assertiveness in non-sexual situation.
है एक बच्चा था जिसके साथ अब्यूज उसके प्लेग्राउंड में होता था।
बेतरीके से, बेतमीज से, बेरहम से हमारे बच्चे के संग में वो फोटो उसको हाथ में भी पकड़ा रखे थे, वो मुंह में भी ले रखे थे।
उस लड़की ने मुझे बोला कि जब मैं छोटी थी तो मेरे जो फादर थे वो मेरे साथ डेली पूरा जैसा सेक्स होता है पूरा इंटरकोर्स करते थे और मुझे बोलते थे कि ये ऐसे ही हर फादर अपनी बच्ची को ऐसा सिखाना होता अपने को। तो वो बोलती थी मैं किसी से बात नहीं करती थी, बट मुझे बाहर जाके इतना गंदा लगता था। मैं सोचती थी कि कितने गंदे हैं सारे ये मतलब एक ऐसा सिस्टम कितना गंदा है।
This sexual abuse is a crime of violence and power and not of lust and passion. ये ध्यान में रखना ज़रूरी है। पावर है और अपने से जो वीक है उनके ऊपर रोब दिखाने का ये एक तरीका है। इसलिए चुप्पी तोड़ना बहुत ज़रूरी है, मदद लेना बहुत ज़रूरी है।
उस लड़की की माँ को भी पता था, उसने अपनी माँ को बताया, माँ ने उसको चुप करा दिया कि बाहर क्या बोलोगी कि मेरे फादर ऐसा कर रहे हैं मेरे साथ।
मैं एकाध स्त्री के कपड़ों के ऊपर से उसके शरीर को हाथ स्पर्श करूं तो गलत बात नहीं है। कपड़ों के अंदर अगर हाथ लगाऊं तो वो क्राइम है। और ये मैं नहीं कह रहा हूं, एक न्यायालय का न्यायाधीश कह रहा है। एक कोर्ट ने ऐसा जजमेंट दिया कि अगर एक लड़की ने कुछ कपड़े पहने हैं और वो कपड़े ऐसे हैं जिसके वजह से उसके शरीर का हिस्सा दिख रहा है, और फिर अगर एकाध मर्द उत्तेजित हो गया तो वो मर्द का गुनाह नहीं है, वो औरत का है। और उसने जो कपड़े पहने हुए हैं वो अच्छे या बुरे हैं ये कौन डिसाइड करेगा? मर्द।
हम 1 महीने से ऑफिस भी नहीं गए हैं और अब ये कह रहे हैं कि डिलीवरी के बाद तुम रिजाइन कर दो।
दिन भर बच्चे में ही लगी रहोगी, ऑफिस जाने का तो वक्त ही नहीं मिलेगा।
पर ये कौन सी किताब में लिखा हुआ है कि या तो बच्चों को पालो या नौकरी करो, दोनों एक साथ नहीं कर सकते हैं।
We have internalized these gender roles since our childhood. We have seen all of these activities in our own household, and we know what father does and what mother keeps doing all through the day. But these gender roles can be so limiting. These gender roles can be so unjust.
I come from a middle class family, and this culture is still prevalent in my house. Men does all the talkings, drinkings, gossipings, and women are expected to be in the kitchen. My mom, I'm kind of nervous. My mom, she has to do all the cooking, serving, washing.
और वैसे भी घर में रहकर करती क्या? यहाँ रहेंगे तो कम से कम आपका हाथ बटा देंगे किचन में, है कि नहीं? और भाभी बड़ा बढ़िया बढ़िया सीख रही है आजकल, रेसिपी देखिए, कुछ बनवाइए। अरे भाई बनाओ।
SamaBhav is a well-known writer. She said, a woman is not born a woman. She learns how to be a woman. When she's born, she's a baby girl, right?
Manju, she grabbed the chair and then sat in front of all the media. And then the most interesting part was that the eerie silence. We could clearly hear the message. She was savoring her rights, and she was protesting, like our colleague said here, she was protesting that she also has the right to stand with the men outside, and then there's more than just staying in the kitchen and cooking for other men. So if men could do anything